Well, this is part 9 of Federalist 11. It's a beautiful paragraph. There are other points of view in which the subject might be placed of a striking and animating kind, but they would lead us too far into the regions of futurity and would involve topics not proper for a newspaper discussion. Now remember, every one of these papers was published in a newspaper in New York, and it was addressed to the people of state of New York. Why is that? If you remember, I said that they were writing these articles, these papers, so before the New York ratifying convention met, to let people know that this is going to be a great constitution for you, great union, to give supporters of the Constitution some material to work with, to show the people who were opposed to this Constitution that this is actually a great plan for you. So when he says, there are certain other things that I wish we could talk about, but it cannot be done in a newspaper article. And then I shall briefly observe that our situation invites and our interests prompt us to aim at an ascendant in the system of American affairs. We've got to think a little bit higher. We've got to think a little more seriously about our country, our affairs, our situation. The world may politically as well as geographically be divided into 4 parts, each having a distinct set of interests. He says, he's talking about the world at the end of the 18th century. He says there are 4 parts right now in the world. But the reason he says that is that he wants to say, look, these European countries are dominating the planet. They're taking all the resources from all corners of the planet, all 4 corners of the planet. The British, the French, the Spanish, the Portuguese, the Dutch, and they are feeling too proud. They've just got used to taking the resources from everybody else. And they're looking at us, they're looking at this continent, they're looking at us the same way too. Because he says, unhappily for the other 3 corners of the world, Europe, by her arms and by her negotiations, by force and by fraud, has in different degrees extended her dominion over them all. Africa, Asia, and America have successively felt her domination. Europeans, either by war-making, by their arms, by their ships and the cannons on their ships, by their guns, and also by fraud, by lying, breaking their promises to other countries. They have come to control other parts of the world. If they can't take it by force, they take it by a combination of force and lies and fraud. He says they're trying to do the same thing to us people of North America. And look at this beautiful sentence. The superiority she has long maintained has tempted her to plume herself as the mistress of the world and to consider the rest of mankind as created for her benefit. She's been so lucky and so deceitful at being able to do this, to go to different parts of the world, take the resources, colonize this and that she thinks she is the mistress of the world. The plume is like the feather that they put on a, let's say, a prince's cap or hat. It's talking about like the jewels that they put in the crowns of imperial majesties and things like that. It says Europe thinks the rest of the world are her territory. She take what she wants, everything like that. And she's been doing this for so long that she really, this has got to her head now, into her head, that she's actually, she thinks, is the mistress of the world. And the rest of mankind is created for her benefit. That she can use and abuse everybody else, use and abuse their lands for her benefit. Men admired as profound philosophers have in direct terms attributed her inhabitants a physical superiority and have gravely asserted that all animals, and with them the human species, degenerate in America. That even dogs cease to bark after having breathed a while in our atmosphere. Facts have too long supported these arrogant pretensions of the Europeans. It says this has gone for so long that now we have a couple of their philosophers, so-called naturalist philosophers, say that all the species, whether animal, whether human beings, everything degenerates here on this continent. In America, every living being gets worse, not better, degenerates, is not of the same quality. And he's referring to two writers, Buffon and Raynal, Raynal, and Buffon, Buffon. He's referring to these two that had written books and articles saying that everything degenerates. Even dogs cannot bark. They degenerate that even a dog cannot bark. But look at what it says. It belongs to us to vindicate the honor of the human race and to teach that assuming brother moderation. It's time for us Americans to show them who we are, what we stand for. We're setting up a republic here. We're going to spread republicanism, the idea of freedom, and teach these monarchies that have for so long run empires, stolen everything from everybody. We want to teach them a lesson. Union will enable us to do it. This union will add another victim to his triumphs. If we become a union, if we unite, we can stand up to her and show her that she's mistaken. But if we stay disunited, then we will be another victim of hers. We will be at the mercy of the Europeans too. Let Americans disdain to be the instruments of European greatness. We should disdain. We Americans should really, it should make us feel ill and sick to think that one day we will be a toy for Europeans. Let the 13 states bound together in a strict and indissoluble union concur in erecting one great American system superior to the control of all transatlantic force or influence and able to dictate the terms of the connection between the old and the new world. Let us unite and let us show these transatlantic powers, these powers that lie on the other side of the Atlantic, the British, the French, the Spanish, and then to a lesser degree the Dutch and Portuguese, that they cannot treat us like they've treated everybody else. We should bring honor to mankind, and this will be not just good for America, but for the rest of humanity. I hope we look at our situation the same way. I hope we, people of the world, realize that we belong to the same family. Our differences, what little they are, they're actually beautiful. But we have so much in common that we can help one another live up to our potentials, and everybody will benefit from it. By cutting armament, by putting in place a system of disarmament and gradually getting rid of all these militaries, we will cut down all these wasteful expenses we have and show the creator of the universe that we deserve of having this beautiful planet as our home. That we are not negligent in our prayers and keeping this planet beautiful and healthy for the rest of the generations to come, for other living beings. I pray so.